16 by 16 based canvas. I'm going to keep all this stuff exactly how it is. So we're just going to click OK. And now we have our canvas opened in Leearning. So we're just going to click OK. And now we have our canvas exactly how it is, 16 by 16 based canvas. I'm going to keep all this stuff exactly how it is. So we're just going to click OK. And now we have our canvas opened in Leearning. So the first tool that we'll use is the scroll tool. So when you scroll in using your mouse, you can actually zoom this canvas in. Same thing if you scroll it back. You can zoom this image out, and if you click the middle mouse button, you can actually drag and pan this screen around, which is obviously an extremely important part of creating your art, is just being able to move your canvas around freely. So yeah, that is awesome. The next tool I would like to show you is this little preview tab down here. If you click on this 1-to-1 ratio here, it's going to pop up the preview tab. And so this is basically like a second canvas, which is going to project the same canvas that you have here, but you can see it from a different size. So if I were to draw, by default, we're in the pencil tool, which you can also just press the B button and we can select that here, or you can come over here to this hotkey panel and we can select the pencil tool. As you can see, shortcut B, and we can start to draw something onto our canvas with the left click. And as you can see, it's going to mimic in our preview tab. And we can zoom this out. It's not going to affect our canvas. And this would mainly be used for if I'm zooming really far in, I can still see the entire image here in my preview tab. If you press E is the erase tool. So that's going to be able to erase the images. And the final tool that we'll be using is the selection tool, which is right above the pencil. You can also press M as a shortcut to select this. So left click and drag over your image. And then it's going to select this, and then you can just left click and drag this around the screen. And then to select this, so left click and drag over your image, and then it's going to select this, and then you can just left click and drag this around the screen. If you come over here to the corner, you can resize and stretch this image. And finally, if you come a little bit more outside of this box, you'll see that your arrow changes again. And so this is for rotating your sprite. You can also press delete to delete everything inside your selection. So Control Z is going to be your undo button, and Control Y is going to be your redo button. So this is extremely handy for when you make a mistake and you just want to undo your last action. The last thing I would like to cover today is on colors. As you can see on the left side, we have our color picker where we can select colors, and we can also create our own colors with this hue changer as well. We cover all of this stuff very, very in depth inside of the course as well. We cover all of this stuff. There's a thing I would like to cover today, undo button to delete everything inside your select, rotating of this box. You can this over, also press M as well. That we'll be using is the selection tool, which is right above the pencil. You can also press M as a shortcut to select this. So left click and drag over your image, and then it's going to select this, and then you can just left click and drag this around the screen. If you come over here to the corner, you can resize and stretch this image. And finally, if you come a little bit more outside of this box, you'll see that your arrow changes again. And so this is for rotating your sprite. You can also press delete to delete everything inside your selection. So control sprite. You can also arrow changes. If you come a little bit more outside of this box, you'll see that your arrow changes again. And so this is for rotating your sprite. You can also press delete to delete everything inside your selection. So Control Z is going to be your undo button, and Control Y is going to be your redo button. So this is extremely handy for when you make a mistake and you just want to undo your last action. The last thing I would like to cover today is on colors. As you can see on the left side, we have our color picker where we can select colors, and we can also create our own colors with this hue changer as well. We cover all of this stuff very, very in depth inside of the course, but for now I'm just going over all of the tools. If I select this color here and we go back to our pencil tool, I'm going to draw this on screen. Then I'm going to grab a green color and I'm going to do the same thing. So now we have two colors. Currently, as you can see, we are selected on this green color here. This is our primary color. Now, if I would like to just swap into a different color on our canvas that we don't have selected, all you have to do is hold down the Alt key, and that's going to swap you to the eyedropper tool, and we can left click to then make this our primary color that we're using for our pencil tool. Finally, just to end off this lecture, I'd like to quickly create a character with you and then show you how to actually save and export your image. So I'm going to grab this nice brown color here and I'll just make a rectangle for the body of our player. Just keep in mind that I'm not actually teaching any techniques here. We're just creating something that we can use to save and start sharing around in the game dev forums. So now I'll grab a lighter brown color and I'll use this for the head of our character. Something like that. And maybe we want this guy to have a bit of a jaw so the head starts to jut out a little bit. I'm going to actually go to the erase tool with E and just take off these top 2 pixels to round off the head. And finally, I'll go back to my darker color and I'm just going to add little chunky feet onto the bottom of our torso. The last thing that I want to do is just give this character some eyes. So I'll just dot some pixels onto the head and call it a day. There we go. We've created a super simple character. So now the next thing to do is actually save and export this image. So the advantage of saving obviously is that you can revisit this whenever you would like. So saving is extremely important, and exporting is also a very important tool for doing things like uploading your files to, again, share with the game dev forums, or even if you want to just share this with your friends or eventually start creating video games, you're going to need to export your image to a file that's actually readable in most game engines. So the first thing will be the save, and I'll just go up to the top left here and click on File. And then we can click on the Save As, or you can press Control-Shift-S, and that will bring up your File Explorer. So right now it's saving this right to my desktop. You can go in and create a folder somewhere on your computer and get set up wherever you would like to save these images. But for me, I'm good on the desktop. So down here where it says File Name, I'm just going to change this to Character. And if you like, you can save this as a .ase file, and that's going to allow you to revisit this in LibreSprite or Sprite exactly as you left it. So I'm going to click OK. And now I will show you an easy way to export your image. If you're using something like LibreSprite, a really easy way to do this is to go to the top left again, click on the Sprite tab, and then we're going to go to Sprite Size. And you can actually rescale your image to be larger because pixel art is extremely tiny. So if you would like to actually show your work to other people, you might need to upscale your image. So because this is a 16 by 16 pixel sizing, I'm just going to upscale this 8 times. So we'll create an 800% scale, which is obviously going to just increase the canvas size 8 times its regular size. Make sure you have nearest neighbor enabled, and we'll click OK. So now we have an extremely large version of our character. And then I'll do the same thing. So we're going to go File, and then we're going to go to Save As. And then instead of saving this as character.ase like we did before, I'm actually going to save this out as character, backspace that here, and do character.png. The PNG file is extremely versatile and used in pretty much every software you can imagine. So I'm going to save mine out as a character.png, click OK, and we have successfully created a PNG or a picture version of our sprite. Now, getting into the first challenge of this course, I would like you to draw a simple character. So once again, create a very basic character sprite. Then I would like you to export that sprite, and finally share your work with the discussion boards on the gamedev.tv website. If you don't know how to do that, make sure to check out the community and support lecture. But congratulations, you are now fully set up with the majority of the tools that we will be using in the course. So good luck, and let's start creating some awesome pixel art. For characters, and it's typically what I like to use, as it keeps things pretty easy to animate lecture. In this lecture, we'll be taking a look at how we can start detailing our silhouettes to create depth and work with shadows and highlights. In the last lecture, we created In this lecture, we'll be taking a look at how we can start creating some very simple silhouettes for top-down characters. So I want to create this lecture to really just stress the importance of visualizing your image from a silhouette before adding any kind of detail. So if we look at these sprites that I have created, you'll notice that every silhouette is quite different from the last. Even with these two characters over on the left here, you can still notice a lot of differences. The character on the left is a lot taller and more slender compared to this more bobblehead, chubby style of silhouette. Of course, this is also a lot different from the two on the right side, being a lot more slender, with the character on the left having a very, very small head, and the character on the right having a bigger head to characterize it a little bit more. Finally, the sprite in the middle is completely different from all of the other sprites, and that's because this is a little bit less of a humanoid character, and so this is more of an imp or gremlin style of silhouette. We'll be creating our own silhouettes later. later in this lecture. But typically what I like to do once I create a silhouette is I will start to actually fill in where I see the eyes for my characters. This just allows me to to not only